So let's get started. So welcome to this experimental homebrew group meeting via Skype. It's a bit of a first, and I think that maybe it's a good thing for the future. I think we should try to look after people who can't get to Dural for one reason or another. I know in the past I've had emails from people in country New South Wales who always value things being put online about the meetings because they can't get to them. So if this works, we may keep it going regardless of pandemics. I think I know most of you. I'm Peter, VK2TPM, located in Sydney. Other people have used Zoom and Google Hangouts, but I kind of like Skype, and I'm open to, we should look at other options that people might be more familiar with. Skype is on all platforms, including Linux and phones, and it seems to be free. And these meeting groups that you create actually persist. So I just clicked make a new meeting, gave it the name Homebrew, and my understanding is that URL will keep working until no one has used it for a year. So basically we can keep using the same room over and over, and just all people, as you saw, people have to do is click on the link and you go through to it. And even if you don't have the software installed, you can even use it just with a browser. Particularly, I know it works with Chrome. Matthew McGee, I don't know if he's going to join us. He asked me to record this, which I am doing, so no cussing, but I'll probably edit it down to be a bit tighter because he wants to put it on the website. He's put up last meeting I saw there, just the audio of it. I don't have very high expectations for this meeting. I think it's just let's get used to the technology, and I thought we'd just go around the group and find out what everyone's been up to in these crazy days. There's also a chat area. If you roll over the window, there's a chat button, and there's a kind of a chat window pops up on the side, or at least it does I'm on the Mac, and that's quite handy for for putting in links, or you can even put photos in there, and that also persists. You can even join and use the chat without the video conferencing. And we're not having any problem with noise at the moment, but if we do, it might be good to mute yourself when you're not talking. So let's go around, and looks like John's back again. John, you froze there for a little while.
It told me there was a fault and everything just went off, and
okay.
Yeah, all like that. Anyway,
well, what we might do is let's go around and everyone give a bit of an update. Maybe introduce yourself and give an update of what you've been doing in the during the lockdown, ham radio wise anyway, and more generally. And let's just do a run around the group. So perhaps if you could start, John.
Okay. John, VK2ASU, as you know me, I'm sure. The main thing I've got done is the LoRa that I displayed last time I was down there, and Peter and I had the talk. Mine was just a heap of wires and bits and pieces transmitting across. Anyway, what it looks like now is that. A nice little
very nice
single circuit board. It's still Arduino, yep. So much neater. The untidy bits under the bottom.
You're fighting.
Not too bad.
You've got the Skype blur background on, and that's fighting with you a little bit. But seems you seem to be winning. I think if you roll over the camera button, you get
the camera button
in the middle of the window. There's a blur my background, which is a good effect. But if we're holding things up, it's not important. It was sort of working. Okay.
Sorry, I can't see what you're talking about.
Don't worry. Carry on.
Yep. Okay. Well, let's hold it right up to my face.
Yeah.
Should have it. Is that all right?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay. Working. Okay, we've got the keyboard input here now. Power input there. And pretty much that's it. And the antenna, we've got its own dedicated 3.3 volt supply there, so that you don't get any dropouts. It's running on a Nano version 3, and of course the LoRa module there. So that's what I've been up to for the time being. Have a couple more things on the go, but we've actually finished that one. Although now I'm going to try and get it running duplex so that, two-way.
Right. Oh, that's great, John. And yeah, you gave me one of those little 433 megahertz antennas when I saw you last time, and I've put that to use. I bought a temperature sensor, indoor thermometer from JCar, and I was able to pick up and decode the signal off the air and see the temperature readings going through. It sends them once a minute. So using that antenna was quite handy for that. All right.
Well, that's great because that's the same antenna as I've got on that. I think I've got half a dozen of them or something. But anyway, there we go.
That's great with an SMA connector. Yeah. And are you right for toilet paper and solder?
Plenty of both.
Okay, well, thanks, John. Who'd like to go next?
Oh, I guess I might give it a try there, Peter. So,
yep. Okay, Kevin.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm having a little trouble getting my window to show the speaker only. Every time I go across to it, I see a lovely view of Gary and nobody else. So, anyway, yeah, look, settling in. I've cleaned out my back room, actually, and it's an old bedroom, and I've turned it into a study. And it's nice to work here. But sometimes when you want to go to the workshop, you've got to go out in the wet, go out in the cold. And so I made up a little device or a little workbench that I actually keep in the study. And if I can, if this works, let's see if it works. Oops. Hopefully an image came up just then. It should be in the gallery window if you open the gallery window or.
Yeah, it did. It actually popped over the screen for me. That was really good.
Yeah, if you want to keep it persistent, I think you've got to go to gallery, the top left-hand corner, press gallery. But the idea is it's actually one of those tool chests. And if you look at it, you'll see it's got a little desk on top with a movable shelf. And the idea is I do all my work on that. It's bulky enough that it sits in the middle of the room in blocks. So when I'm not using it, I put it away like this. So as you can see, the shelf has closed up, compact the size. All the stuff on the workbench I haven't had to put away. It just sits underneath the shelf. Very convenient to work, don't have to go outside. And the drawers are really nice because doing a particular project, in this case, this is my Arduino workbench. So lots of cables, lots of boards, and a bit of feedback there from someone. So the drawers very nicely contain all the stuff that I need. I've got one drawer set up for tools, one drawer set up for cables, one drawer set up for the development boards, and even a drawer for my documentation. So that's a neat little thing. I rather like that, actually. The other thing I've been working on is a bit of an interest in the 23 centimetre and the 13 centimetre contacts out here around Emu Plains. But I didn't have any test gear, so I had to make up a little antenna, and I needed some way of measuring the antenna. So I came across an interesting design for a SWR bridge. And that's what I made up. Now, usually with this kind of thing, you've got to do a bit of PCB work, etc., etc. But what I've actually done with this one is made it out of copper strip, which has an adhesive on the back. So you basically just cut out the shape you want, glue it down to the board. The circuit that I used was this one. Come on. Which, as you can see, came out of the National Microwave Handbook, which I discovered actually is about 18 years old, so I need to update. But I just used the dimensions on that. I didn't do any other calculations. I just said, oh, I'll see how it goes. And lo and behold, this is the product. Now, what I did was to actually do the drawing in a CAD package and then printed it out in the laser printer. You can see the lines there, and they become effectively the lines I've got to cut on the board. So I just got a big piece of of the tape. As you can see here, there's the tape in the bottom right-hand corner. Just glued it to the side of the book, just glued it to the top of the board, overlaid the template, and then got a very sharp knife. And cut it out with a sharp knife. Then you just peel away what you want, you don't want, and you leave there. So it turned out to be okay. It's not a bad little device. Being a first time, I made a few mistakes, and I think the second one will be better, of course. But I measured it, and basically from 1 gig to 3 gigs, there's about a dB loss in the dB ripple in the track and in the pass-through band, and the coupling to the upper tracks is actually, they said it was going to be 20 dB in the design, in the article. It came out at exactly 20 dB, so it's a 20 dB loss. So I was very impressed with that. The resistors I used for the termination were the 1206s, so I probably need to go to the 805s and improve a few things on that. But I was quite happy with it. It's got a couple of little funny ripples. Then I needed a way of testing it. So I made up this. I wanted to see how it worked. And this is a 13 centimetre dipole. Very simple, no matching networks, just coax straight into it. And I get a very nice dip in the SWR reading at about 2.450 megahertz. And the dip is about 13 decibels. So it's sort of working, but once again, it's first effort, so I'll see how it goes. And that's basically what I've been up to. So I'll put it back to you, Peter.
Oh, fantastic, Kevin! And those pictures work really well too. When maybe it takes a few seconds for them to upload, but they popped up really well on the screen. It looks good. Is that copper foil is the adhesive conductive? Like if you overlap one piece on the other, would it connect, or would you have to make a solder bridge or something?
Well, I don't know whether it's actually conductive, but I did notice when I taped it on the back of the board to get the earth and checked it, it was actually shorted. I don't know how effective. As someone pointed out, at those sort of frequencies, and given the thickness of the
capacitance is probably enough to make it. Yeah.
I tried it first of all without soldering, got a reading, then soldered it. No difference.
Right.
So, yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's great. All right, thanks very much for that. That's a fabulous bit of show and tell. Who would like to go next? Ali.
I don't have anything. I'm sorry. Yeah, just go ahead.
Oh, tell us how you're going. Are you housebound?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah. Yeah, more or less. Yeah. Okay.
All right. What about? Go on.
Yeah.
How many people are here at the moment? 6 or?
I'm seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm seeing 6, but I'm not sure. That maybe there's more.
I can see
it says
4 people plus you at the top in the circle.
Yeah.
So
the group.
How we can change the situation?
I might change it to. Not sure. The group says it's got up to 31, but I think that counts people who've come and gone. So it's not quite that big, but anyway.
Okay, no problem. Yeah.
Thanks for that. Who would like to talk about what they've been up to? What about you, Gary?
Oh, okay. A couple of things. Mainly repairs. The display. I've got an FT1000 here. And it's got a little display to indicate frequency, and it went out. And looking at the manual, it says it's a compact fluorescent device, which I'm not sure how it works, but the interesting thing about it's got a little inverter, and the output inverter is tuned, and it had the capacitor on the tuned circuit went short, so that sort of shut that down. So the AC, probably 20, 30, 50 kilohertz goes onto the display. Now, whether the actual display rectifies it, changes DC, or if it runs on AC, I don't know.
I'm playing bridge at 10 o'clock in the morning.
I have one of those I was given one of those J-Car 12 volt, 13.8 volt, 40 amp supplies, and they're nightmares. So I'm in the process of working my way through that, like any switch mode power supply, until you get a really good idea of how it all interrelates. A few explosions. I haven't had an explosion yet. I had a little pop, but that was about all. The other thing which I'm considering now, some of you guys may remember the Peter O'Connell developed a dummy load for the home brew group, and it consists of a heat sink and one of those ceramic resistors, which is bolted down to a spreader and then onto the heat sink. I was thinking about making a 40 dB tap, and that'll allow you to probably measure, and you feeding that into an AD 8307 will allow you to measure up to 100 watts. But being as the Breeze has been a 250 watt chip. Probably more important to maybe be able to measure 500 watts. So the problem with it is increasing watts is more volts on the line. So you have to have the series of resistors that will handle the voltage and the power. So I'm just looking at that right now. My spectrum analyzer died, which is a bit sad. Looks like the first local oscillator in it's a YIG, and the YIG runs from about 2 to 6 gigs, and at the top end of the range it's dropping out. This is quite a common fault with the HP spectrum analyzers, and the YIG just goes bad. But I haven't actually done too much with it, so I'm waiting for a nice sunny day where I can go outside, open it up, have plenty of sunlight. The way the analyzer's put together, it's like a whole stack of folding books. So when you unscrew all the wires, it sort of all opens up. You know, I had to open it up last year because in the EMI filter, one of the caps went short, another short set cap. And it's possible, if I'm really lucky, I haven't seated a connector properly. And I just open it up, reset the connectors, and then away I go. But I'm thinking that it's probably the YIG spare. But yeah, that's what I've been working on. I don't think there's anything too much with this. Because I live on a couple of acres here, summer consists of a lot of mowing. So I've been doing that, and staying at home. There's probably not too much more.
Sounds like an ideal life.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got Dave has joined and is crashing around, I can see. What about Owen next? What have you been up to?
Well, first of all, Peter, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, working well.
Thank you very much for organising this. Thanks for organising this. Great idea. And a good afternoon, everybody. Well, I've been doing basically tying up loose ends around the shack and unfinished projects. You know, there's a lot of them. So one gadget that I've been working on, I'm really just trying to find out how this wretched thing works. But here it is. Where are we? I inherited this from an old mate of mine who passed away. And would you believe you can see where the RF goes in here. It's a 4-to-1 balance, right? RF goes in here, then through this coax cable to the other end. And then on the other side, the coax cable is reversed so that a signal of opposite polarity appears at this other end. So the voltage is essentially doubled across the two ends. And I've added the hardware to it. You can see and I've tested it between about 1 megahertz and 30 megs to see if it's flat. And I'm surprised. It's there's no ferrites, no nothing in here. It's just coax cable, and it's basically a 4-to-1 balance. So now I've got to face the fact that I do not have any space to put up an off-centre fed half-wave dipole because I live in an apartment, you see. But maybe it'll be useful for multi-band mobile use, portable use. So that's one little thing. I'd be distracted by car work. Also, I won't elaborate upon that. But and I've got other projects to get into. So I've just been informed that there's a bit of hum on my 2-metre rig. The power supply that I'm using now, I thought was okay. I haven't used it for a while, but looks like it needs some tender loving care as well. So with one thing and another, I think I'll keep busy for many weeks. So meanwhile, I apologise for my lighting. I appreciate that I didn't have time to rig up something that was more, professional. But anyhow, there you go. So once again, Peter, thanks.
Well, thanks, Owen, and can I compliment you on your wonderful workroom there? That the background looks fantastic. Looks very official. Good. Lots of lamps.
You're being very polite, Peter. You're being very polite.
No, it looks great. I love it. I wish I had. I've just got a blank room here myself. So I can see a couple of other people. There's Rob, VK2DIO. Do you want to give us an update on what you've been up to? I'm not seeing video from you at the moment.
It's okay. What I've been up to is doing exactly this for the last 2 weeks for my work. Is using this iPad to have video conferences just like this. Mainly I usually sit in the back and listen to the experiment and stuff, so I didn't want to miss it today. So I came on. Nothing ham radio. Work has been, for me, been actually probably twice as busy as it is when there was no coronavirus. And I'm glad to get 2 days breaks before I jump back in boots and all next week. So anyway, that's been my life. But yeah, look, this video conferencing stuff is saving us all and allowing us to still do things when we can't go anywhere. So ham radio wise, yeah, nothing new. Just got my 2-metre rig here and listen to a couple of repeaters, and I've got All-Star link that I like to use, and I'm hooked up to some VK4 repeaters and a couple in the UK I listen on. There's been a bit more activity lately. I'm in Haddock. We had our face-to-face meeting cancelled, and so we ran it on our repeater as an alternative, and we're looking into this kind of video to enhance that if we want to do presentations, etc. So just interesting to see how you guys go. Yeah, I've got lots of antennas that need putting up, but I still haven't found the time. I've got a 10-metre vertical that I acquired and fed with a matching network. That's downstairs, so I won't put it on the video. That's sitting there waiting to see how that goes. I'm quite interested to see, because 10 metres seems like a good band. And we've been doing a bit more SSB simplex on in a subgroup of us in Haddock. So we've been sort of just trying to chat to each other on a Monday over simplex. So we're running vertical polarisation because most people already have antennas up. So I've got a diamond that's sitting out the side that I want to put on the end of a pole to get that a bit more effective. So that's my ham radio. Thanks for calling me in.
Oh, thanks, Rob. No, that's a good update, and that's great that you're able to work from home. I mean, I think this whole thing is showing how possible it is to have meetings like this. So, do you have any views on alternative software, on what works? I guess you're using FaceTime or something for work.
Well, interestingly enough, I work for Apple, and we're not using FaceTime. We use WebEx mostly. We do.
WebEx.
I won't say we don't use FaceTime. We occasionally use FaceTime, but FaceTime's not good for sharing content. It's okay for casual group chats like this, but we corporate-wide we use WebEx for sort of meetings where we've got to share content. I'm a big fan of a thing called Jitsi Meet, JITSI, because I like open source, and Jitsi Meet is completely open source, both the server side and the client side. I found that the video is excellent, the audio is excellent, but the downside for me is you can't share content on the iPad version of it. You can only share content on the desktop version.
Right.
Which doesn't need a client, though. It runs straight in the browser.
Actually, Skype works completely in the browser. It seems to work very well in Chrome. I've had people that I've sent the link to for a meeting, and they join and they say, one person told me they were using Zoom, and I said, no, this is a Skype call. They went, what? So it works so well in the modern browsers that maybe you don't need to install any software at all, but probably works better with the software.
Yeah, well, that's true. So Jitsi is fully in browser. We'll tell you if you use a browser other than Chrome that it prefers not to use those others. But I've successfully used Firefox, and it was perfectly fine when I ignored the warning.
Yep.
There's a technology built into browsers called WebRTC, which has been around for a few years now. And originally Microsoft bucked it and tried to do a thing called ORTC and go their own way. They finally gave in, thank God. So now it seems to be fairly universal on browsers that there's WebRTC, and it provides really good quality, as you've seen. So that's how Jitsi works inside of the browser. Typically, browsers on mobile devices like iPads aren't quite the same, and you're better off with the app, but usually the app's just leveraging the same software libraries that the browsers use to do WebRTC. So yeah, look, there's a plug for Jitsi. I like open source.
I'll give it a try.
Better.
Yeah.
Zoom is Chinese spyware. That's all there is to it. Don't install Zoom. If you can avoid Zoom...
They've just updated it, actually, after the criticism that it was reporting back to Facebook. Yeah, they've just updated the iOS version.
Look at the primary investors. They're out of Hong Kong and China.
Right.
One of the founding people there is ex-Chinese intelligence. There are good alternatives to Zoom. So just a plug to say, do your research.
Yeah.
And while they're saying they're plugging some of the holes, Zoom still collects a lot of unnecessary information about you.
Okay. Thanks, Rob.
Anyway, that's my 2 cents. Thanks for calling in.
Thanks for joining in. I can see another person, Dave9937. Do you want to...
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry about that. I haven't got any video.
That's all right.
But I wanted to join the group today mainly to see what's going on.
John, could you mute,
got some
please?
Background.
Yeah.
No.
So,
go ahead.
I haven't got anything on the amateur side going at the moment.
Okay, bring it here. Oh, sorry, I've got to go for a sec.
Okay, mate. If I can mute.
But I'm a bit involved in other things at the moment, so I haven't got a lot of time available, like everyone, I suppose. Just started a TAFE course this year to do nursing, so heavily into the nursing course.
Oh, that's you'll be rushed through.
Yeah, I'm wondering about that. They're actually we're doing all our stuff either online or at the distance now. They haven't stopped the course going. They're going ahead with the course, and so that side of things hasn't stopped. So I expect we will be on time as far as our eventual qualification date goes, with any luck anyway.
How long is the course?
It's an enrolled nursing course. It goes for 18 months.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, you'll be through in about 2 weeks, I would think. You'll be on the job.
Yeah, it feels like it. Yeah. But on the amateur side, it's like some people here. I live in a little 2-bedroom apartment, so a bit limited on that side of things. But I haven't had the chance to really give Echolink a good go, so I'm looking forward to doing a little bit with Echolink in the next few weeks.
What's your call, Dave?
VK2ETY.
Great. Okay. Excellent.
Yeah. So that's as much as I can contribute at the moment.
All right. Thanks very much. I think we've done everyone except me. So I'll give my update. We're in the middle of moving to Melbourne, as I'm sure some of you know, and we sold the house, but it hasn't settled, and there's some doubt because the people who've bought our house haven't sold their house, and they're very worried. So I've got nothing here. We've moved most of our stuff into storage, and I've got the minimum. I've got a QRP 10-watt radio, and I put up a dipole for 20 meters just on the front balcony, which is working quite well. I've been playing digital modes and a bit of Whisper, and also talking with Stephen, VK2BLQ. He's got a lot of television. He hasn't got a good internet connection, which is why he couldn't join us today. But he's got terrible TVI from next door, and so we were trying PSK31, and he couldn't. Even though signals are quite strong, he was getting interference. So we've been mucking around with Olivia and 16500 and 321000, and those spread spectrum MFSK modes seem to cut through his local interference, so that's been good. I do have a DMR radio, and I've just recently pulled it out, and I've realised I've got the wrong cable. I haven't got the right programming cable. I've got one that's got a chip in it, and it's a TYT radio, so I might have to go and visit someone and because it's the database of calls is all out of date. But that's about it from me too, so still pretty active around. The band's been pretty dead, although I'm receiving things quite well on 20 metres on Whisper, but otherwise it's been pretty quiet. So that's about it. John, I muted you because we were getting some noise, so I can't unmute you for some reason. That lets me mute you but not unmute you. So anyway, if there's anything else, otherwise we might wrap it up for today. And I think I suggest we do this again if we're still all housebound in 2 months, we should do the same thing, but perhaps we should even do them more often. Maybe we should have a virtual meeting interspersed with the physical one or something like that. All right.
I think that's a good idea, Peter.
Yeah, great. Thank you very much, Peter. Thank you.
Well, thank you everyone for joining in and giving it a go. I think it's been quite interesting and great to see everyone. So that's good. I'll pass on a recording to Matthew, and I think he said he's going to put it up on the website. So anyway, let's negotiate about maybe doing it a bit more frequently than bi-monthly. Might be a good thing to do if we're all at home.
Yeah. Thanks for your email. Thank you very much. All right.
Thanks, Pete.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Okay,
Thank you.
Stay in touch. See you soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Stay safe.